Hello everyone, happy Sunday. How are we doing today? How is your parenting journey coming on? I trust it's coming on great. So today we're going to be having a conversation around ways to encourage your children to speak out for themselves. A lot of children, especially African children, are not raised to speak out for themselves. No wonder why a lot of children are not able to say no to their peers. They're not able to say no to adults they should say no to, because we've raised them in a culture that doesn't encourage them to speak up for themselves and to be expressive. So today we're going to be talking about just 3 very simple tips on how to encourage your children to speak out for themselves. So the first way we're going to talk about today is allow them answer for themselves. So I see a lot of parents walk into my office with their children. They come for admission and then you're asking the child, oh, what's your name? How old are you? What was your last class? What was your last school? The parent wants to answer. You go to the hospital, the child is not able to say, my head was aching, my ear was aching. The parent wants to talk for the child. Allow your child speak for themselves, even especially when they are shy. Sometimes parents say, oh, she's 5 years old, don't mind her, she's just being shy. No, you're not encouraging the child. Encourage the child to be able to speak for themselves. When you get to the doctor's appointment, if the child's head is aching, encourage the child to be able to clearly express his or her concerns to the doctor, so you can actually practice. You could practice. In fact, with your children, you could role play at home, practicing how to express themselves in different circumstances. So you're going for a party and you need to tell them, okay, when people ask your name, this is what to respond, this is how to respond. By the time you do it a few times, your child gains mastery on how to introduce themselves, on how to express themselves when they have to express themselves. So like we said, tip number 1, resist the urge to speak for your children. Allow them speak for themselves when it's necessary to do so. So number 2, carve out time for discussions. Have thoughtful discussions with your children. So don't assume they're children and then you don't have discussions with them. So when they tell you things, when they say things, you could ask them questions like, oh, where did you learn that from? What did you learn when you went to church today? Okay, so we all went to church together. What did you learn? What was something that stood out for you? Ask them questions that they need to dig into their thoughts to answer. Don't just ask them open-ended questions and then when they come to you with their 1001 questions, you just go yes, no, so they can let you be no. The art of questioning is a way to teach children to reach out deep within themselves and be able to express themselves. So learn the art of questioning. You could go out and then you come back and then you ask them, oh, what stood out? They go to school and then they come back and you go beyond the traditional, how was your day? Fine. To what was the best part of your day? What made you happy today? What made you sad today? Or how was the experience with your teacher in class today? What begins to happen? Your child is reaching out into themselves and thinking up answers from the experiences. And the beautiful thing about those questions is that they are not under pressure. So as they begin to express themselves to you in response, you are editing, you are correcting those answers and refining it. So the third and the last one we'll be discussing today is to avoid labeling your child. There is this temptation to easily call them names and those names stick. So they might not always do the most brilliant of things. They might not always be able to express themselves as brilliantly, but Don't label them. Avoid that temptation, because when you label them, when you consistently put them down, there is a tendency that they begin to see themselves through that lens. And when they begin to see themselves through that lens, they are not encouraged to speak out. They don't want to. The world is tough enough. So make it easier for the children by teaching them to assert themselves and not putting them down with your words. God bless you. I'm rooting for you. We would raise amazing